Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm here by Khairunnisa, staying as the first speaker of the government side of the house under the motion now is this house would disallow the practice of instantaneously naturalizing the foreign athlete to serve a national sport team. So, what we mean by naturalizing itself is the real meaning of the naturalizing itself is when the foreigner can get the citizenship in a country that by following the rule of law in that country, such as living 5 years continuously in that country. So we can see here the national team of our country tends to achieve the world championship, and they will do anything to win it, including maximize their athlete skill. But what we can see here is the national sport team often grants the foreigner athlete to be the part of their team because they think that the foreigner, just like Evan Nahdim or let's say that Gonzalez, are more talented than the local athlete that we have. So the problem that might be appear here is as the democrational country, it can break the essence of the equality and also the essence of the rule of law. Why can it break those essences? Because in our country, we know that we have our own rule to give the citizenship to the foreigner that comes, but the national sport team itself tends to instantly grant those foreigner athletes without considering the rule of law. Like as the foreigner that comes from another country, they have to live minimally 5 years, as I said before. 5 years continuously, as I said before. There's no exception for the foreigner athlete. Even though that they're very talented, they're really needed in that national team to win the championship, they still have to fulfill that rule of law in our country to be granted and to get the citizenship in our country. So it will be unfair. It will create an unfair system for another foreign who wants to live and get their citizenship. If the foreigner athlete can get that citizenship instantly. So it will also can create a problem in our society. There will be a societal rejection, for example, because there's a societal jealousy inside of our society itself. Because it slows down the skill improvement of our local athlete. Because the national sport team tends to focus on to granting the foreigner athlete to be their part to win the championship. Actually, that is not about the foreigner. That is not about the foreigner athlete is more talented or not. We also have a talented local athlete that still can be used in our national team to win the championship. It's just about we can maximize or not our skill, from our exercise, for example. By that instantaneously naturalizing, it will create an unfair for the foreigner. It will create an unfair system for the foreigner itself, as I said before, and it also can create an unfair for our local athlete. It can also break the essence of nationalism. Why we talk about the nationalism here? Because the national sport team is established. When the national sport team is established in a country, it shows us that they really have a pride and nationalism in their self to be the citizen of our country and to be the representative in our country. But what will it be? What will it be when the foreigner also takes an action by taking the part in our national team of a country in winning the championship? It will create a mindset that the essence of our nation is low, the essence of nationalism in our nation is low. It will also can create a further impact or worse scenario that might be happen. That is the societal rejection itself from our society, because it also breaks the essence of representative, as I said before. As we know that in the national team, we also talk about the nationalism, right? The athlete as a representative of a country. And if we talk about the capability, we agree that the foreigner athlete has a higher and better skill. But we need to remember here is, that our local athlete can do it the same great and greater, and even greater if they feel the essence of that nationalism as a representative of our country. They can exercise maximally and improve their skill to bettering and bringing the nationalism itself in their self. So it's really justifiable for us to disallow this kind of action, because if we see the further impact that can happen is punishment. There will be a punishment that comes from the international, not only social rejection but also from the international organization. We can see that it might be comes from the UEFA if they know that the athlete of the national team is not a real citizen of that country. So there will be also an assumption from another international organization that towards this problem in terms of our nationalism. So as a government, we also have a goals here, that is to avoid those kind of bad assumption towards our nation. We also want to avoid the social rejection and keep the essence of equality and also rule of law in our country as a country that stands on a democratic system. So based on those consideration and also arguments, we extremely agree with this motion that we would like to disallow the practice of this instantaneously neutralizing to the foreigner athlete. Maybe that's all from me. Thanks. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.